The night everything broke, I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I smiled, and let my father think he'd won. Because revenge doesn't start when you fight back. It starts when you stop being seen as a threat. My name is Amelia, and this is the story of how the man who raised me taught me the most valuable lesson of my life: how to wait. I grew up believing my dad, Thomas Blair, was unbreakable. Decorated firefighter. Local hero. The kind of man strangers trusted within 5 minutes and children clung to like gravity lived in his chest. And I was his miracle daughter. At least, that's what he called me, until I became inconvenient. I was 24 when the accident happened. Or what everyone called an accident. The official report said the fire started from faulty wiring in the old Briarwood apartments. The insurance company blamed negligence. The city closed the case in 6 weeks. But here's what no one knew yet. I was inside that building because my dad told me to be. He'd called that night, voice calm, almost proud. "Cam, I need you to grab something from Unit 3B. Just paperwork. I'll be there in 10. 10 minutes is a long time in a burning building." I never made it to 3B. The ceiling collapsed. My left leg was crushed. The smoke burned my lungs so badly I still taste metal when I laugh too hard. And my father? He arrived 12 minutes late. Long enough for witnesses to see him talking to a man in a suit before entering the building. Long enough for the fire to spread past the point of rescue. I survived. Barely. But my old life didn't. Recovery gives you too much time to think. Too much time to notice patterns. Like how my dad stopped visiting after the insurance payout came through. How he insisted I sign power of attorney forms, just in case. How the man in the suit, Evan Cross, real estate developer, started showing up in news articles tied to revitalization projects. Briarwood Apartments was demolished 3 months after the fire. Luxury condos went up in its place. And one quiet night, scrolling through city permits at 2 a.m., I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The wiring had been inspected. Cleared. Signed off. By my father. That was the first loose thread. I didn't pull it right away. I let it itch. Here's the thing about betrayal. When it comes from a stranger, it hurts. When it comes from your closest blood, it rewires you. I started small. I let my dad think I was broken, physically, emotionally, financially. I asked for help. I cried in front of him. I leaned into the wheelchair like it defined me. Men like my father don't fear pain. They fear responsibility. So when he relaxed, I listened. I recorded conversations he thought were casual. I tracked shell companies tied to his name. I watched Evan Cross buy politicians the way people buy coffee. And I waited. Because there was still one unanswered question that kept me awake every night. Did my father mean for me to die, or was I collateral damage? I didn't know yet. But I would. The answer came on Thanksgiving. Wine loosens tongues. He was halfway through his second glass when he laughed, actually laughed, and said, "You were never supposed to be in that room that long, Cam." I smiled back, slow and calm, while my heart tried to claw out of my chest. "What do you mean?" I asked. He waved it off. "You panicked. Stayed too long." I nodded. Stored it. Closed the loop, but left the wound open. Revenge isn't loud at first. It's paperwork. It's patience. It's letting the other person keep digging. I anonymously tipped a journalist about zoning fraud. I leaked partial documents, not enough to expose everything, just enough to start investigations. Then I did the most important thing of all. Nothing. While my father scrambled, I rebuilt myself. Physical therapy. Law courses. Financial auditing certifications. By the time the subpoenas came, I wasn't the girl in the wheelchair anymore. I was the one holding the timeline. The trial wasn't about the fire. Not officially. It was about bribery, fraud, and falsified safety reports. Evan Cross flipped first. And when he did, he told them why the fire had to happen. Briarwood tenants wouldn't sell. A tragedy would lower resistance. An accidental fire would clear the land. My father was paid to look the other way. I was never supposed to be inside. But when I was, he chose the deal anyway. The courtroom was silent when the prosecutor asked me if I wanted to address the defendant. I stood. Slowly. Without the chair. My father's face collapsed in real time. I trusted you, I said. And you trusted that I'd stay quiet. I leaned in just enough for him to hear the last part. You taught me how to survive fires. You forgot to teach me how to forgive. He's serving 23 years. Evan Cross got 31. The condos were condemned. And Briarwood's land? It's now a memorial park, funded by a foundation I quietly control. Here's the part no one expects. I visit my father once a year. I never talk about the past. I just smile. Because the last unfinished loop, the one that keeps him awake, is not knowing whether I planned this from the hospital bed. Or whether I only decided after he smiled and thought he'd gotten away with it. And that? That question will burn longer than any fire ever could.